Hey guys, Rob here at GamesCom 2015. I'm joined by Lucy James. Now Lucy, you get motion sickness quite often, don't you?
Really bad.
So you decided to play some of the Vive VR, right?
I did. So
it's actually Vive, isn't it?
It's Vive. We've been pronouncing it wrong this whole time.
We've been pronouncing it wrong for years.
So we both went heads on with Vive, I guess. Vive, you'd call it.
Yep.
And I've got to say, in comparison to Oculus, no motion sickness at all. I guess it's because there's no discrepancy because you're actually moving within the space and you have these controllers, you have these haptic controllers, so what you're seeing on the screen, you don't have hands, like it shows you the controller, so there's no discrepancy there and your brain's not arguing with you.
Yeah, I don't know the science behind it, I don't know the technology behind it, but it did feel more comfortable, right?
Yeah.
It wasn't a strain on the eyes. Like,
no.
I've used Oculus a lot, I've used Morpheus a lot, I've even used the
Cardboard?
I've used Cardboard as well, Gear VR, yeah.
Star VR, there's a lot.
Fove as well, but they've all been a bit uncomfortable. After a while, your eyes start straining, does that make sense?
Because there's a crossover a bit in the middle as well, and you have to try.
Oh, is that what it is?
Yeah.
Right.
I think
okay.
So.
Yeah. Well, with Vive, I didn't feel that. I felt way more comfortable.
I don't know. When you put it on you put in a white room. It's basically you're in a loading section of Assassin's Creed when you're in the Animus.
Yeah.
Aren't you?
Yeah.
And then you see the controllers, and the first thing they tell you to do is select from a color wheel, and just click the controller, and a balloon appears.
And that sounds simplistic, that sounds boring, it's amazingly fun.
Because then
a balloon comes out and you hit the balloon.
Yeah, you hit the balloon and the physics works perfectly.
Again, we know it sounds boring, but you hit a balloon. You can hit loads of balloons everywhere. That's what I did. I just flew like loads of balloons everywhere. It was so much fun, right?
So should we talk about the demos that we saw? So balloon, and then we went straight into, what was the first one?
The Aquatic thing.
Which was kind of the most amazing way to debut the VR experience. You're on the bow of a sunken ship.
Yeah. And it's quite calm at first.
Yeah, there's all these little fish swimming around you, and you can kind of tap away at them, and they'll just swim away.
And we both did the same thing at this point. We both turned to the right.
Oh, because there was a stingray.
There's a stingray. Yeah, we followed the stingray.
We followed the stingray.
And we turned to the left, and there's a giant blue whale.
So it's one of those things where you know it's not there.
Yeah,
but because
you still go.
You're so completely in the space, and in your head, your mind has been completely tricked.
Yeah.
You just think it's there.
Yeah.
And so the whale kind of slowly comes out, and then it kind of stops, and you look it in the eye, and you have a moment with that whale.
You do have a moment with it. I had a moment with it.
It's
so magnificent. I had a moment with it. Yeah.
So we had the deep blue.
Yeah. Then it was the kitchen.
So kitchen for me was probably my only bad experience with it because one of my controllers ran out of battery, so I had to do it with one hand. It was just like basically if you ever played iToy, there was a cooking mini game on iToy, and it's like a VR cooking moment.
Yeah, we were using these Razer controllers, right? These motion controllers, and so it was like the cooking version of Surgeon Simulator, right?
Yeah.
So we were just picking up tomatoes and putting them in pans.
Chuck them in. But the thing is, at the end, I thought it was going to be a soup, but it came out as a can. And I was like, well, you can't serve that in a restaurant.
No.
So that was good.
That was okay. The next demo was not so impressive for me. It was the RTS demo.
So I like that just because for a concept, it was like a table, and there was a miniature little battle going on, kind of something like akin to Warhammer maybe going on. But the models were moving by themselves and attacking, and you could. I actually got on the floor. Get under the table. I was told to do that. I didn't just randomly do it.
Get on the floor.
Get on the floor. No, and you could put your face in. It was a weird bit for me when you were walking through it.
Yeah, that's right. So basically, this was a digital table with a bunch of like tabletop game stuff on it.
Little tanks and little men with rifles.
And they were all moving around and stuff, and you were just like this invisible giant that could see everything.
It would have been cooler if you could have, picked something up and moved it. But this was it was a real observation one.
Do you reckon that'll work with RTSs? Do you reckon like that'll help? Like I like playing RTSs. I like moving units around the board. But do you reckon it'll help that you can sort of walk around and see what's going on? Do you reckon that will aid? Do you reckon that will assist?
I don't know, I'd rather feel like a war commander and, get my chess pieces and...
That's right. That's what I think you've nailed it.
And then watch it play out.
Yeah, that's right, yeah.
Like if you imagine like Football Manager as well. Could you just imagine like placing players where you want them to go?
Yeah.
So then it was the Google demo, which was the paint.
Oh,
so Google's demo was really good.
Yeah, this was just as good as the balloons.
So basically the haptic stick in your right hand is a paintbrush. but it creates it in a 3D space. So you can just walk around, and you had different effects on your paintbrush. There was like a neon one, there was stars, snow, rainbow.
Yeah, so on your left hand
fire.
there was like this rotating palette thing, and you could like select different things, like different shapes, different colors, different methods like undo and delete and everything. And with your right hand, you sort of just created in a 3D space this painting. And again, that sounds simple, but to make something that's your own.
It was kind of strange. I felt sort of like I was in Fantasia. Just
right, yeah. Yeah, because
you could just, and then you could have a stream.
Yeah, that's what I was doing.
But it was great because you could move around and just sort of.
Yeah.
Like at one point, it looked like something from Infamous Second Son. Just after you used the neon power and it was just still floating.
Yeah. What did you draw anything? Did you create?
I was just doing squiggles, and then I had like
squiggles.
rainbows.
I tried to do a portrait of myself, which was just a circle. So then we moved on to the final one, which was
the best for me.
Well,
I think.
yeah, it was.
It was Valve's Dota demo.
Yeah.
So this is one that is brand new to Gamescom, and I thought it would be like a spectator mode for Dota 2, like looking down. Not at all. It's more a taking pieces from the Dota lore, and you're basically put in like a Hagrid's hut. It's the shopkeepers.
Yeah, it's the secret. We don't play Dota, and it's going to be quite obvious, isn't it? It's the secret shopkeepers. Whatever.
It's the shopkeepers.
Like Dota fans are going to love it. It's that fat dude in the shop.
The shopkeeper.
The shopkeeper. Who hands you some lights, and basically you can explore it.
He comes in.
Yeah.
And it's like the whale. You know it's not real, but it just.
Well,
he's just there.
It was
and
so,
he hands you something, and you just take it. And
oh yeah, I mean it was so beautifully rendered.
Yeah.
It was. I know this sounds like hyperbole, but it was Pixar-esque.
Yeah, it was like being in a Pixar movie.
Yeah, it was like being in a Pixar movie, and so then basically you could scan around the environment, right?
So I had a lady like kind of directing me to what I was doing. So the first thing I did was using the light. If you clicked on the thumbstick or whatever, well, no, it was a trigger, wasn't it? If you clicked in the trigger, you shrank. And the first place you shrink is on the top of the table, and so
I didn't like this bit.
There's a piece of paper on it, and you just start reading it, and you're going, it's in a language you can't even read. So I was like, why am I even looking at this? Turn around, and there's a giant spider.
Yeah, again, that doesn't sound scary, but it was incredibly scary.
It's incredible the way they've tricked it. Like, and at one point, I was standing there, and I hear something as well because the headphone audio is done. I guess it must also work relative to where you are. Because
what you mean? That's like 3D audio?
Yeah, because I had a guy, I heard a guy, and I just automatically looked up, and it was the roof, and I saw there was a hole in the roof, and I saw a giant walk past, and then he just ripped off boards from the roof and just peered in.
Oh my! I didn't see that. I wish I did.
Really?
Like that sounds terrifying.
It was terrifying, but it was incredible.
So overall, I mean, sounds like we're both impressed by Vive.
I thought. Just when I thought I was out for VR, they pulled me back in.
Okay, well, for more news and analysis on VR, Vive, Oculus Rift, and the rest, stay tuned to GameSpot.
It was so good.
It was so good. We loved it.
That's because we are some nerds.